situation far more difficult. If possible, staying connected with your loved ones through digital methods is one way to maintain contact. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311, psychosocial support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of UTV or its affiliates.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining UTV. We had a respite yesterday, but we're back on track. Thank you all those locked into UTV on channel 124 on Flow, those locked in on Instagram, and of course on Twitch. Of course, shout outs to all those locked in on Facebook, UTV 124 Facebook Warriors. Make sure to welcome in more and more of the UWP hats. The more the merrier. Yep, and of course to those of you locked in on Hits Radio, thank you very much for tuning in to our radio station partners, 92.1 in the north, 91.1 in the south. Now, as we were not on air yesterday with both of our live programs, I've been Tresha and myself, I did not get to do shout outs, so I am duty bound to try to do what I can today. Birthday greetings going out to a 1 in a billion sister, Thekla and Victoria Schwazel. Your birthday is today, Friday, so here's wishing you all the best in life and God's guidance from your kids and family in Canada, letting you know that they miss and love you endlessly. Folks over in Casabah locked in, as well as Cedar Heights Viewfort, thank you very much for locking in. Cabbage, good afternoon to you. Latany Viewfort, thank you for locking in. Bishop's Gap, good afternoon to you, as well as Beausejour Groselet, good afternoon. Kenny Antoine and Mr. Russell and all those fantastic farmers up in Debara, thank you very much for locking in. Also shout outs to those tuning in from the Ministry of Agriculture, posted at various parts of the island. La Monique Bar, as well as Justice Place in Roseau, thank you very much for locking in, as well as Benny's Tropical Paradise in Ancillary, thank you very much. A plea to the government to fix the X-ray machine at the OKEU or to buy a new one if they can take money to give the FFF and borrow hundreds of millions in the name of COVID relief. They can at least spend some of the money on the actual healthcare, Kuma. Shout outs to the folks over at Belmont. Folks over, can I say, is it legal to still say Cooley Town? Has the name change come into effect, and what is the new name, since there are 2 Cooley Towns in St. Lucia? There's also Zulu Town in Dennery, good afternoon to you, as well as folks in the Miku Village, Loba, Vijay, Gara Babono, Mondidor, Lapanse, Arundel Hill, and for those locked in from Belvedere Canneries, thank you very much for staying with the Revolution. Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for locking in. Alvin Phillip, loudest man in Soufrière for sure, and all the crew down in Cagnes in Soufrière, thank you very much for all the support. Shout outs and congratulations to Anya Edwin. Folks, we need to take note, because even in the middle of COVID, young people are still making major strides, and achievements should never discriminate. So very happy to see a young St. Lucian, Anya Edwin, becoming the youngest St. Lucian to ever become the chairman of the National Community Foundation. Now, for those who are wondering what was going on down in Dennery, well, we'll get to the full-blown implications, but a lot of it was in part for a music video, because the Prime Minister so loved the political effect of placating young people with Prime Minister's Playlist 42 that the same people who are involved in Prime Minister's Playlist 42 are doing an Easter playlist, which involves new artists and new music videos that break all of the COVID protocols. But like we said, it's a double standard, so it's all about preference. But there's more to come with regard to Dennery, also with regard to what's happening at St. Jude's. And everything is pointing to a government that is literally taking the sideshow and making it the mainstay. In other words, everything is made for television, made for Veglistics, so that they can call the election soon. Very, very, very soon. And boy, I for one, not only can't wait, I will not wait any longer. Shout outs to all those in New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, Toronto, Canada, Manchester, England. Also Frankfurt and to Lucians down under in Sydney, Australia. Thank you very much for your support and advice as well. Folks who are sending me messages now, I cannot read them because I have to take the messages from the day before or the morning. And what I do is I have to compile them on a notepad on my phone so I can read them out. So I cannot stop that to go through the messages you are now sending me. It will never work. I say it each time. Folks, you realize, and bravo, that there are 23,000 vaccines that have been given out in St. Lucia. But here's the problem. The first 3,000 vaccines that we got were donation. The next 25 we got, of which we gave 5,000 back for what we had gotten, were 20,000. That was also a donation. And yet COVAX, in terms of the CARICOM body which we've joined, the first shipment of vaccines just got to Jamaica a couple of days ago, but we haven't received the first shipment of the vaccine. So my question is to the government, do you think that in as much as it is good to get as many people vaccinated, that since we are not in the position of Joe Biden and the United States where they can always pay more to get more, don't you think there's literally a clock ticking right now as to people who have gotten the vaccine first, and now it's 4 weeks going on to 5, and after 6 weeks they should get the second shot? So now, in a somewhat irresponsible way, instead of giving 12 to 15,000 people or whatever, 10,000 people the first and second shot, especially your first responders and your seniors, because of the political mileage that you wanted to gain, you've given out all, as Mary Isaac, as Minister of Health, said. And you still, each week, are saying, and believe me, I'll be very happy if you get in the second vaccines for the safety and health of the people. But let's think about this. Didn't you all put the people at risk of having their first shot wear out? Because right now, you still do not know for a fact how come you have not gotten the vaccine that you said would have been in last week, the week before that from COVAX, the week before that from COVAX, the week before that, and even before all of the donations. You've given out all of the donations, and now you are with, the time is expiring when you need to get in the rest of the vaccines. The way this government thinks. Last but not least, I want to send, not shout outs. The government brought in a recycled guy who was older than the existing commissioner. Now the Commissioner Mosheri is now advising the Prime Minister, who doesn't listen to anybody. They put in Mosheri, Daisy as pure political appointment because they're going into elections, and he will have the final say on what is election fraud and what is payola and what is stuff in ballot boxes and all the rest of that, and you will hear the bullets. And instead, now that we have a surge in crime and we have a bloody weekend that Herman Gill won't take any blame for, but when there were 29 murders, he was deputy commissioner, he'll take credit for. Which to my mind simply says, well, bruh, it obviously means you were better off in the force than you were as a senator or minister. And yet you want to be promoted to be even more remotely detached from the day-to-day operations of the force. But I'll tell you what's going to happen. For 2 weeks, you're going to see a heightened police presence around everywhere that the UWP, election machinery, the Prime Minister and the ministers are not. And you will not hear about any major crime policing initiatives in Cap Estate or Bonte or Kubari or Castles in Paradise at Savans. Anywhere that affluent people live, you will not hear about any policing. But if you go by the CDC buildings at 9 o'clock tonight, you will see police in force. And that's what's going to happen. The double standard. The double standard. But what are you going to do, St. Lucia? Oh yes, you can stand up. Or maybe you don't want to, it's up to you. Now, Last night you got revelations from Richard Frederick of the Prime Minister having a company, land in a company named Rich Hill. And then you think that you had asphalt and mining, and when asphalt and mining got exposed, they created a new company, and you ask yourself, who's around when these UWPs name their companies? You know, Guy actually has a company, right? A spare parts company. You know what it's called? Guy's Parts. Isn't that amazing? You wonder why you ballers didn't open a company like that. Then you turn around and you see there's fresh start. It's almost like they're sticking a middle finger in your face, telling you, hey, I'm naming it for whatever ulterior motive it is, and just, you know. So you have a piece of land on a flat. There is no hill, there is no mountain where the land was, right opposite Rodney Heights there, right opposite the Kilago Junction. But they didn't call it Rich or whatever property, Rich Hill, you know. So forget about building a new St. Lucia. Building a new St. Lucia hasn't happened because it's been 4 years of bluff. But one thing, they've destroyed a lot. And now they're already showing you they're building their rich hills. And you are not part of that, that's for sure. But in building and starting these new companies, I want to congratulate the United Workers' Party, Sky FM, and of course, Nobas, Mobot William, because they've created a new company. I'm so impressed. It's called the Chickilick Company.
Squeezing the cojones. Monsieur Christopher Hunt, pas ni yon maman, il pas ni yon papa, et lui même pas qu'à vivre.
Qui m'en nous dit?
Christopher Hunt.
As a minister? Non, mais je ne sais pas connaître qui m'en dit.
Vous ne connaissez Christopher Hunt?
Non.
Christopher Hunt, c'est Yish Julian Hunt.
Oui?
Car joué et quand insulté moun en l'air TV avec radio station.
En l'air TV?
Mot sale même.
Ça va vrai?
Pas vrai.
En l'air TV?
Autant ça m'a là.
Chickilick Company.
Yes, folks, you see them? All in their pus-colored shirts. It's fantastic. 4 Kalmar songs just sitting down there. It's amazing. And Christopher Hunt's language, oh yes. Oh, you all know language when Shasti was calling people jackass, or when he cursed out a foreigner at the SLHTA up at Bellevue Hotel. You all didn't know anything about language. You all only know language when I use it, but you know, and they keep saying the same thing. You have children watching Avengers in the middle of the day that has cursing in it. Do you really believe that when you play a movie in the middle of the day and it has cursing from Americans, the children don't know? Or when they walk in town and they have bus drivers and fellas playing dominoes under the CDC and they cursing and so on, or somebody fighting, they cursing, that they don't know? And then because I say it, it'll be different? But what I don't understand, why don't you all ever talk about some of the other media people and the language that they use?
Femme pour femme. Parce que ça là, depuis en création, ça me compte là, c'est compagnie non qui a adopté Kaboul, mais Afghanistan quand même. Avec ces femmes là qui a adopté situation zamia, comment résultat dit gain financier. Là ni femme qui zakaka qui fait yish. Mais toujours encore, ils ont entré en affaires amis. Pour qui? Ah oui, c'est mien. Hello? Quand laissera. Que sera. Whatever will be. Hello? Ça, ou pas ça du bout de sera. Ok? Dis-moi tant, c'est un roman catholique. Avec ces romans, yo compte ça fait boule, amis. Mais changer. Que sera. En chahi c'est prête la boule, c'est tiboy là. Gardez. Diocèse Boston en Amérique. Laissez garçon sorti et dit, tel prête ka boule yo, touche dada yo, etc. Archdiocese Boston en Amérique ni pour vendre propriétaire qui l'église teni comme poupée dommage là. Quoi, sira, au passage de boule. Boule d'où? Hello? Ouais, moi do boule d'où? Il y en a quoi? Et qui n'y a chaïto à vaiten? Parce que c'est ce qui est au caboui. Avec le main, cachot là au cas où les boules. En vérité, regarde.
But let's be honest, St. Lucia has a double standard. Like I've said, Shastny can lie every day like Trump, nothing for that. If Philip Pierre is caught, even if not in a lie, but being inaccurate, it's the end of the world. Kenny Anthony has 2 or 3 scandals plaguing him over 20 years. And no matter how much it's explained, rationalized, whatever, it doesn't go away. But UWP does something, and 3 weeks later, forget about Guy doing this, forget about this one doing that, as long as they take a jail. Even if they admit that what they've done is unconstitutional or illegal, or you have the proof and you show the documents. There's a double standard. I understand that. I cannot curse, right? But they have the righteous indignation. They know shame. They know truth and lies only when it applies to the Chickalick company.
That's bullshit, that's bullshit.
What we're looking to do is to do doggy style.
Oh my gosh! Shastny!
So I want to say something, folks. Go out and get registered to vote. Check your ID card. If it's expired, go out and get it renewed. Now they're renewing your ID card for 10 years, Champagne.
Oh, wow, that's good.
I just got mine,
I just did mine last
renewed on Monday.
Nice.
Well, I went in last week, and they said come back on Monday. I went in on Tuesday, and I got my new ID card. It's brand spanking new. Jikni Bayan Lake Clay. Where was that?
I want to go back with you, Dr. Secret, because we are living in a country of law. You said there's someone on national radio who hosts a program who's cussing, you said, on national radio and television, cussing?
Yes. Mo Salah.
Insulting words on national television?
Yes.
No, man, but that is unacceptable.
And that is why, you see, the callers that are calling and say, tell Dr. Secret, go and pay this and go and pay that.
We don't want
okay? That is why. No, pagas pay and That is why they came so hot with that thing, trying and make me feel bad and all that kind. Because I said, the people that are cursing, insulting people on radio and television, if the government, if they cannot be sued, that those radio and television stations should be shut.
Chickalick company.
You see how the double standard works? And we think Shastny is just draconian on his own. But the house slaves, that bum squad you see there, they literally want draconian measures to shut down this place and shut down that place. Well, boy, you all have had 25 years of Rick Wayne in your ass. And not once did you all ever call for DBS to be shut down. Huh?
But I have a problem with Dr. King being in everything there. There's a part of the tape where he talks about people who are emotionally this and all. Where does Dr. King come off being we are this and we are that? Dr. King is a pathologist. I don't know that pathologists know fuck all about building tents, let alone a hospital.
The problem is the mentality in St. Lucia.
1 minute, I'm interrupting. Hello?
Yes, sir.
I'm on TV with Mr. Norbert Williams.
Oh, good for you.
Talk to you later. I hope nobody saw that.
Yeah, I hope nobody saw that, but we did, and we heard it, and it's there. But you see, it isn't about facts. So all I can tell you all is, when I see fouls, I'll use foul language when I see the fouls. You want a foul? Well, a man who is concerned about my language and about the rule of law, who would take his own alma mater, school that he went to as a boy, and try and bilk them for money, for doors that shouldn't cost more than $300 to $500, for work that should not have cost in total more than $2,000, to be along with another 199 UWP contractors that were in breach of the Finance Act, to take them and join them all up so that they could pad and take money from government. You know, everybody, add on your figures. If it's $2,000, charge $12,000 for the doors. And then call me and tell me, man, what's $12,000? What's $12,000? That's anything for a man that supposedly is supposed to be going all the way from Entrepot down all the way to Vieux-Fort as a red cap, so you can get $1 US and $2 US to carry your bags out of the airport to your taxi. But yet, $12,000, and they pretend that that money could not have bought more medication, could not have paid for more vaccines, could not have bought more bed sheets or whatever for hospitals, or done more for a school feeding program. And they lie so much, they even call in media to tell them, no, this person's not the contractor, that's the person's name. And watch closely, you'll see Champagne, Felix de Turville, literally standing up, calling the media to tell them that what I said is not true. They don't know anything about ethics when it comes to those things, but yet they want to question my ethics because I call them the names that I see that they deserve.
Told us that the school was supposed to be sprayed on Friday at such a late notice. Today, Monday, parents took their children to the Ave Maria school, infant school there, and it was a whole fiasco.
Frustrated parents expressed their concerns to the Minister of Education, Dr. Gail T.C. Rigobert.
Well, the situation here this morning at the Pastors Combined School is extremely disturbing. Parents are in uproar at the lack of preparation and readiness to receive students.
I was one of those who was holding back on a lot of the work initially because I was very keen on understanding where our education system was going to go.
In 2018, the state of disrepair to school buildings was at staggering levels.
That injection of $10 million, of course, has gone a long way to bring some relief to our teachers and our students.
We were told about school repair. I must say to you, when I heard $10 million will be spent every year and Labour Party barely spent $2 million, I was like, wow, this is serious business. But I did not know that $2 million under Philip J. Pierre goes a lot further than $10 million under this present government. That $2 million goes a lot further than that $10 million. Because every year, how many schools, Mr. Speaker, never before have we had so many schools not able to open at the date of school opening.
Felix Champagne de Turville makes no bones about his political ties to the United Workers' Party. He wants to clear his name and refute accusations leveled by Firebrand talk show host Christopher Hunt that he allegedly overcharged the government for the installation of custom-fitted steel doors at his alma mater, the Masha Combined School.
So this year, because when I heard that there were going to be some additional renovations to the schools, I went to the minister.
The job has cost the government roughly $12,000. Champagne says he initially approached Education Minister Dr. Gail Rigobert to lend his assistance to Masha Combined.
And who was the contractor?
The contractor's name is Mr. Winsbert Emmanuel.
Okay, and so in order for Mr. Emmanuel to get those doors in, you're saying that the concrete needed to be broken down
because the doors were custom-made doors. They were not normal-sized doors.
Let's deal with the prices of the two doors.
Okay.
How much each dose?
Yeah, I have it with me, and you're gonna zoom on it if you will. This is the total for the 2 doors. 4,000, if you could see there.
So each door or both doors cost about.
He did not present a documented breakdown of the contractor's fees, but he did deny having any influence over the cost of labor.
Just that work here would run up about $6,000 in material.
So it did cost $12,000.
In essence, they gave the gentleman $12,000, which he has not gotten because Treasury is holding back the man's payment.
Champagne conceded that the total cost of the project did amount to $12,000, as was pointed out by Hunt on his daily talk show.
Operating within the guidelines of the Finance Act, for example, ensuring that nominated contractors are suitable for the works for which they've been nominated.
So y'all can worry about what somebody says while y'all know that y'all taking money that y'all not supposed to be taking. So you have ethics for what I say, but you don't have ethics for what y'all blatantly do and the corruption that y'all participate in. Okay. Well, to Champagne, Nobas, Ring the Cloche, whatever you want to call all of them, I will simply quote the great Rick Wayne, poet himself, and tell you all of y'all can hold your mother cunt.
You don't charge people for saying motor count, and you can't even tell the court what is motor count. You can't tell the judge. The judge asks, what is motor count? What is that? And the people who are so offended by some guy saying on Facebook motor count, they will tolerate corruption. They will tolerate all kinds of intolerable things against them and other solutions. Pretend it never happened, that dead already. But they will pretend to be so offended that 2 guys said on Facebook, motorcon.
Hey girl, what's your name? What's your name? Hey,
you're in a good mood.
Girl, if I tell you, I just pre-registered for the COVID vaccine. Hey, but yes.
Supporting you in getting vaccinated is important to us at the Ministry of Health. By selecting one of the options for pre-registering, it helps us to be better prepared and more efficient at managing your demand for vaccination. There are 3 ways to pre-register for your COVID-19 vaccine. 1. Go online by visiting https://hmi.govt.lc/. 2. Contact your closest wellness center. Or 3. Contact your private physician. When we get vaccinated, we don't only protect our health, we are taking action that benefits the health of our entire nation. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us. A message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
UTV. I know you got it. If you identify with the most pulsating, the most riveting, the most eye-capturing UTV. To advertise with UTV, dial 484-7588 or 572-7588. For some of the most competitive rates, amazing programming, and bang for your buck. The most popular streaming channel, UTV 124 on Facebook. Get it now. Check us out on Instagram at UTV 124. Email us utvslu@gmail.com. UTV. It's not just for me. It's definitely TV for you.
Will I get COVID-19 from the vaccine? No, you will not get COVID-19 from the vaccine. If you remember, the vaccine is not the virus. It is simply a genetic code which helps the body to make the protein to recognize the virus. Sometimes after you've had the vaccine, you may get fever, body aches or headaches. This is not COVID. This is your body simply learning to recognize it and to prepare you to fight the actual virus.
This is a message from the Revolucian Medical and Dental Association.
Predators of the prey of mercy, reduce them to new
You're watching UTV. TV for you.
The spirit is not to stay locked up in a house, but to get out and work and to know that I earn my money every month and to come back home and to bring money to my household knowing that I did that. That is the spirit that I know in St. Lucia. Not one of mendicants, not one of people who want to sit by and to say, la gouvernement, Mr. Minister. See, some people like that.
Even more tough times for already struggling small businesses. Joblessness is a very real issue for an increasing number of citizens. Members of the government have argued that St. Lucians are a proud people who do not want handouts, but rather opportunities to earn a living. The argument has been that with capital projects underway, these will create jobs that will filter down and cause ripple effects in the job market. Independent Senator Adrian Auger disagrees and views the argument as posturing on the part of the government.
I don't think that many of us are satisfied. I think the general consensus, even among policymakers, must be that more needs to be done and should be done. I think anybody who walks among the communities, urban and rural of St. Lucia, knows the despair and the lack of hope that is pervasive. I'm particularly worried about young people who tend not to be thought of as top priority, but who are, in the prime years of their life and need to be embraced and need to be considered. I think we need more active social programs on the ground. The assumption of trickle-down benefits, I think, is a little perverse. It hasn't worked anywhere else, and there's no reason to believe that concentration on high-level infrastructural projects is going to bring the kind of social stability that we're looking for, that we're hoping for. So that hasn't really worked anywhere, and it's disingenuous at this point to think that large infrastructural projects are going to deliver that stability, that community normalcy that is necessary just to get people through this.
Auger is of the opinion that the best approach would have been to have an interim budget 6 months into the COVID crisis, when there was information to plan and address the consequences of COVID-19 prevention and control measures. Now, he says, the need is for community focus and transparency on the part of the government.
Speaker, keeping the capital projects in play is critical. The capital projects, Mr. Speaker, have zero implications to your local revenue. We don't have to find money every month to pay for those projects. These are projects that are already funded. These are new monies coming into St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. And you know what the difference is, Mr. Speaker? The members on this side would rather go out, spend the money, borrow the money, get these projects going, create jobs for individuals that they can earn.
We have seen a lot of work going on across the island on infrastructure development, for a lot of focus on roads. And we have seen also the Rodney Bay Road project that started a few months ago, and it seems to be coming along very quickly. Do you believe at this point that the focus should be on infrastructural spending right now?
I'll speak to you as a civil engineer and not as a social commentator, and that nice description that you have placed upon me. Every time I go up to Rodney Bay, I ask myself, what exactly was the thinking in doing that section of the road up there? I did transportation engineering as an option at university, so I have a fairly good idea about transportation engineering. And I will say to you, it makes no sense. It makes no engineering sense to create an intervention, a transportation intervention at those 2 points. It makes absolutely no sense because it will have very little impact, zero impact upon the issues that occur in the north of the island. If you drive, and those of us who go up to the north regularly, okay, I'll give you a simple little issue. When SNS was closed, A little simple illustration. When SNS was closed and Computer World was closed, and you had very or minimal movement of traffic between those 2 points, going up on the afternoon and going up during the day to the north of the island was a breeze. Was a breeze. Same amount of people moving, right? But two intersections created a significant impact on a section of a road. And it says to you something, that the most critical link on the Grosley Highway at this point in time is a link between the Marishill Junction, the current junction, and the junction by Moshi, or if you want to take it up to the Rodney Bay Junction. Let's take it to Rodney Bay then. That is a critical link. And it's a critical link because when you consider the number of intersections coming onto the main road, I counted once, from 10 to current, you have 48 intersections, roughly 24 on either side. And therefore, every time somebody comes onto that road from one of those intersections, accentuated when you have commercial space, like an SNS, that you have a significant amount of movement in and out of there, you have an effect that is transferred right on the shock. And therefore, if you are thinking from a transportation perspective, one could never conclude that an intervention from that section by where the naval base towers are to the Bonte Gap could create something of significance in terms of reducing travel time, because at the end of the day, your success in a transportation intervention is the reduction in travel time. That's what you are aiming for. You want to reduce the travel time from point A to point B. That's the objective. And I would say to anybody living up in the north, when all of that is finished and you have 4 lanes or 4 little lanes, because you can't create 4 proper lanes there at all, when you have your 4 little lanes coming down, check on your own, take a watch and check the time now that you take from that point to Castries and the point thereafter. And you will realize that your saving in time is absolutely zero. And therefore we would have spent $20 million in a transportation initiative with zero effect upon travel time. And that is your answer to how well that money is spent. However, I would also say that there is some good work going on in some of the road networks on the island. Whether it makes sense to focus on your tertiary road network at the sacrifice of your secondary road network, I would say to you, I don't agree with that. And a lot of the focus is on the tertiary network, right? Just outside. If you go there on the morn, you'll see it. I've seen some lanes paved in current that are in a better condition than the Grosley Highway, right? So you have to ask yourself, okay, if you're going into an intervention and I'm spending money on road development, what is the objective? Is the objective to keep 1 or 2 voters inside of a little enclave happy? Or is the objective to improve on your network? An improvement on your network will begin on your secondary and your primary network.
So let's examine the 2 roundabouts, because we already know that the government that gave Fresh Start to do this work, design, finance, build, is already paying them the interest payments and paying it through to Thief Money Mangal. And that contract, you would have expected design, finance, build to start some of the work that's been done with regard to roadworks and construction projects right now. Some of the payments don't start until the year 2024. But payments for Fresh Start have already started on the interest on $50 million, even though they have not done the work and it has not been certified as yet. So before, I had reached out to an urban planner, a St. Lucian working in the city of London, in the United Kingdom, in England, and he's a St. Lucian named Curtis George, and he had pointed out just at an elementary look at what the roundabouts were and what the problems, pointed out some major issues. So the first thing I want to point out, there are 2 roundabouts for those who have not been traversing the north that seem to be being installed. The one by Key Largo is the Chasney roundabout, and let's for argument's sake call the one by the Navy base towers, let's call that the Flavor or Pinkley roundabout, since he's the one that would probably benefit most from having it there next to his Carleone Court building. So let's show the photo first. So I wanted you to see, first of all, that these 2 the US Naval Air Station towers that John Peters speaks of are actually historical, and the Americans do not want those to be disturbed. So I do not know if they're going to be lifted out of place. Something is going to find a way to build a roundabout without it or whatever. And of course, right next to it is the Fresh Start PR sign, working for you, everything in yellow, because you means working for you, WP. So let us show the first photo. Well, second, I guess. The bottlenecking that may result at rush hours and peak times such as Christmas and New Year's at this roundabout is very likely to force drivers to pursue alternative bypass routes to get from Grosley to and from Grosley and Cap Estate. And let's zoom in on that roundabout. So the point that the urban planner Curtis George is making is that this roundabout was already poorly designed. So first of all, the lane above, the straight lane, and let's go up a little bit, which is going to that back road where Flavor is and behind Wang Zhao Chinese restaurant and so on, and will lead to Baywalk. It comes directly into the roundabout, which is already the first problem. The second problem, in fact, let's show the other picture so people can see it for themselves. This junction isn't safe. Vehicles turning left are immediately on the roundabout. That's what's in the blue. That's the same junction that I spoke of. Red, the islands don't provide the correct deflection to reduce the speeds of vehicles traveling through the roundabout. Yellow, the vehicles traveling south have an almost straight line through the roundabout as opposed to those traveling north. This means that southbound traffic will tend to travel at higher speeds than northbound traffic. So even in its initial design and what you're seeing, what they're trying to put, it already shows that it will create bottlenecks for northbound traffic. It will create hazards in terms of accidents and so on in the area that is marked off in blue, right? The islands that don't provide correct deflection to reduce speeds, so people will tend to be able to go faster than they should in that area. And you see it, and let's zoom in so you can see it for yourself, that an urban planner who is literally a St. Lucian working in London as an urban planner actively dealing with issues like this on a much larger scale can easily point out, and you can see it, it looks like the yellow lines at the top look like a knee that's bent kind of a thing. It doesn't seem to be equitable in its distribution compared to the other lane. So there you have it. So folks, not only are we paying interest on $50 million worth of work that has not even really begun and has not been certified, we are building something which we can see from the onset is not going to solve the problem, not only by John Peters' estimation that there are a good 40-something junctions and intersections between coming from Marisil all the way up Bois d'Orange and to Rodney Bay, but on top of that, what we are doing is already fundamentally flawed, which tells you that really and truly it's all about election projects, being able to siphon off money to campaign, buy votes, stuff in people's pockets, stuff in their own pockets, make sure they take care of their friends and their families, and on top of that, give you some glugler that's supposed to distract enough people that after 4 years and a $1.50 road tax that up to now we haven't got an accounting for as to how many roads were ever built with that $1.50 gas tax, that now they have taken money that was supposed to be for economic relief through COVID, and they're doing these election projects and even lying to you, telling you that it's design finance bill when they are already making payments. But like I said, there's one thing Shastny told you, that he was wanting to build a new St. Lucia. which we didn't realize meant destroying the old St. Lucia. So far, they failed to build a new St. Lucia. They have destroyed a lot of the old St. Lucia. But like I said, they are good with the names. They may not have built a new St. Lucia for you, but they've built some rich hills for themselves.
I indicated last week that part of the land on which the roundabout, the half roundabout, would have been located belonged to Michael Shastney. The portion which belonged to him, it had been fenced for a while, and it had a for sale sign planted on it. It stayed there for a long while. I don't know if it's because of the exorbitance of the price he was asking, but it stayed there for a long while. Fence it properly, land for sale, Shastney's number. Anyhow, yesterday, on my way to my development, I stopped there. I got off my vehicle and again addressed my mind, attempting to conceptualize what exactly was going on in the Kilago Gap. Because there is no full roundabout. It's a moon shape, a moon shape piece of road. And I knew that they could not have been building a full roundabout there because they would have had to acquire Kilago for sure and piece of the aquatic center. And in my view, what they had done there was totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Folks, if the government had to do a full roundabout there, a roundabout there is not necessary, like I say, you don't have that volume of traffic to justify a roundabout. They would have had to acquire land on either side of the road, that's Kilago and aquatic center, in addition to what they already acquired. And they would have had to destroy part of the drainage. Let me show you a picture so that you can conceptualize or visualize what I'm saying. This is a picture of the half roundabout that exists there up to yesterday. Could you put up that pic, please? Right. So this is what I call the half roundabout. Okay? You all see it's a half roundabout, a moon-shaped piece of road there. All right? A moon-shaped piece of road. I don't know why it was necessary to put that moon-shaped piece of road next to the highway. But I'll tell you, y'all will tell me what is happening after I explain everything to you. So this is a photo, folks, of the half roundabout. Now, can you show them the photo of directly where that land is in relation to the gap going to Kilago? It is directly right. Folks, you can't see all the half roundabout because of the size, obviously, of my device. Listen well, you know. So this is the gap into Kilago. This is the half roundabout or the moon-shaped piece of road that the government built across from the Kilago Gap. Good. Show them the picture of Kilago for me in relation to all of that. If right, folks, this is the junction right there. So it means if government had to do a complete roundabout there, they would have had to acquire Kilago. You all are seeing where Kilago falls, right? They would have had to acquire Kilago. So I came to the realization that there was some other motive for doing that half moon piece of road opposite the gap. And like I said, that Half Moon piece of road is a waste of resources because land had to be acquired, the Half Moon has to be built, and it is totally unnecessary in terms of getting rid of any traffic congestion. So folks, I began some investigations. Of course I'll tell you what I found out. I must tell you what I found out. I got a map sheet of the entire area. The entire area of the Rodney Bay, of that gap there in relation to the land opposite. Could you put up that thing for me, please? The map of the area. Good. Now, folks, what you see here is where you see that X almost in the center of your screen. You see Grozile Highway written there, right? To the left of your screen, bottom. Grozile Highway is written there. Some people are saying that the screen is frozen there. Our screen is frozen, I don't know. No? Okay. All right. Okay. Folks, this is the Grozile Highway as you can see. Where you see the X in the center of the screen, could you bring out the X for them to see it properly a little bit bigger? If you don't mind, zoom out. That X in the junction, the X in the junction, bring, right, come out. Folks, this X you see there is the exact junction which I showed you, the Kilago Junction. It is between parcel 551 and parcel 701. Okay? That is the gap, the Kilago gap. So Kilago must be parcel 551, and on the other side would be where the aquatic center finds itself. That is the Kilago gap. I want you folks to have a look at parcel 414. No, zoom out again. See where parcel 414 is. Parcel 414 is obliquely opposite the Kilago gap. Parcel 414. Good. Parcel 414 is obliquely opposite the Kilago gap. I want you to concentrate on parcel 414. Because this was the parcel I know for a fact was fenced. This was the parcel which I indicated belonged to Michael Chasney. And this was the parcel which I know for a fact had a for sale sign on it for a number of years, but was never sold. So I decided to go find out whether Michael Chasney had sold his property before government interfered with it. I wanted to do my investigations and to determine whether Michael Chasney still had an interest in parcel 414 where they built the Half Moon Road, part of the land there. And I wanted to confirm ownership. So I went to find out the land register to determine who the owner, the registered owner of parcel 414 is. Put up the land register for parcel 414 for me, please. Good. And this is what I found. You will see on the top right of your screen, parcel 414. You all see it? Parcel 414. Okay? Good. Name and address of proprietor, Rich Hill Limited. So it is in a company's name called Rich Hill Limited. You all are hearing me? I didn't make that up. If you notice, it was extracted from the land registry yesterday. Look at the government stamp to the right of your screen, March 24th, 2021. Yesterday, Rich Hill Limited is the owner of parcel 414. Let us now Let us now find out. When I saw Rich Hill Limited, my interest did not stop there. I want to know who is Rich Hill Limited, because Richard Frederick want to get to the bottom of it. Folks, I went to the registry of deeds and mortgages, where all companies are registered. And let me show you the registration of Rich Hill Limited. Put up the first page of Rich Hill Limited for me, please. Rich Hill Limited, name of company. It was formed in 1986. And this is a return up to December 31st, 2020. Up to 3 months ago. Y'all are hearing me, folks? Y'all are hearing me? Y'all see the company? Rich Hill Limited. Rich Hill Limited. That is the company that owns parcel 414, on which the roundabout is partially built. Good. I will not only tell you who the shareholders in Rich Hill Limited are, I will show you, so they cannot say, I say. Hold on there, stop there. List of persons. List of persons holding shares. Don't scroll up yet, because I want the people to guess. List of persons holding shares in Rich Hill Limited up to the last day of December last year. You all want to know who the shareholders are? You all want to know who the shareholders are? And as you can see, it was extracted from the registry of deeds and of companies, March 18, 2021. Show them who the shareholders of Rich Hill are. Michael Shastney, Alan Shastney, the Prime Minister, and his sister, Fiona Shastney. Let me repeat. Let me repeat. Parcel 414 belongs to Rich Hill Limited. Rich Hill Limited has 3 shareholders. The shareholders are the Prime Minister, his father, and his sister, as owners of parcel 414. You sakouye me bava, you pas sakouye me mate. Say what you want. I provide documents to substantiate what I say. You know, folks, this is serious. This is serious. The Prime Minister, being Minister of Finance, will have to sign off on all those compensations for compulsory acquisition as Minister of Finance. If and when he decides to compensate Rich Hill Limited for that land that they're already using, it may not have been fully acquired yet, they probably have not gone through all the procedure, but they have begun using it. If and when Rich Hill Limited is compensated, wouldn't it be fair to say that the Prime Minister is in effect compensating himself?
Conflict of interest on steroids. Now, you know, one of the things that if you're doing what I'm doing, you realize is that there are certain tactical things that this government does and the United Workers' Party is doing that sadly they don't have much intellect behind it, in the sense that they just repeat stuff. And if you hear it, I can guarantee you, if you hear Jukwa say something, you're going to hear Russell say the same thing. You're going to hear Timothy infer the same thing and Rick Wayne call on Newspin to say the same thing. Then you're going to hear the Bowfest man say it, and so on. That's how they are. That's their talking points. And you can see the talking points they have for me, the talking points they have for Philip Pierre, they are the talking points they have for everybody. So in their response to the whole election projects thing, right? Their latest response or their talking point, which I guess in their WhatsApp group and their meetings, they decided, so whether it's Dr. Secret or Champagne or whatever, they say, didn't the Labour Party have election projects and this, that, and the other? Folks, government moves slowly, right? And I'm happy because some of the hacks that are online are parroting those same talking points. There's a profile which at a glance I think is one of Nancy Charles' fake profiles, but the English is still just as bad, you know? And I'm happy because one of the main people involved in the Rodney Bay Road project, Tiberius Roberts, is also online right now. So he can point out a couple of things as well, or call a press conference and say, what you're saying is such lies and so ridiculous. So folks, first of all, election projects. Both governments, successive administrations, if they see they come in close to the end of their term, will try to push projects. I'm not saying that's right, I'm saying that's what happens. However, there's ways to legally do things and ethically do things, and there are ways not to. So for example, they will talk about 2016 projects, no problem, but I thought y'all voted to change what y'all saw that was wrong. Or did you just only have a problem with it when you thought the Labour Party was doing it? That's one. But the other thing too is you cannot confirm that because those projects were listed in the estimates for the years. These projects that you see now that they say they were always part, Gail Rigobert says it, Shastny said, 9 out of 10 UWP supporters do not actually go and look to see that these projects were not in the 2019-2020 estimates. They were not in the 2018-2019 estimates. They were not in the estimates for the last 3 years, right? But now, and you know how you know that? Because they are being funded with money that came from the IMF that was meant for COVID relief. It also begs the question, what would have happened if there were no COVID? Where would this government be taking the money? Because they didn't. Sweet F all for the 4 years in terms of infrastructure projects. So where would they be if they did not get that magical IMF loans, all these IMF loans to take $500 million and pour it into... So where was that money in the first place? How much money was spent on the roads? Where's the money from the gas tax, the $1.50? That's supposed to be $1 million. How many? What, 35 million? Where is that each year, each month, each whatever? How many roads were done with that? Y'all don't care. Y'all only care about winning. Right? That's how it works. So, you will have Guy Joseph in 2011 give out 50, right? 50 direct awards the month of elections. November 2011. Elections was on the 28th of November 2011. That month, Guy Joseph gave out 50 direct awards. He even gave a direct award to a man named John Doe. Telephone number 450-0000. Yeah, and nothing for that. Even though these guys continue to plunder the country, as long as your party win, right? That makes sense. And as for Mr. Roberts, tell the people, y'all presented a plan which had no flyovers, right? For a busy place like Rodney Bay. Y'all didn't want to acquire 3 housing lots to put the roundabout in the most obvious place that the roundabout needed to go, which is right where the islands are in between the 2 malls. Now you are going to reorient the business model of all of these businesses because now Baywalk's back is its front, and then they tell you all about how you'll have eyes in your backside. And people are going to be coming through back roads to come to get into Rodney Bay. It's going to disorient the whole thing. Now, the roundabout there, tell the people that's American Army land. What's going to happen if those pillars, they stay in, they go in? What's going to happen? I don't understand. Y'all putting too much rebar in the sidewalks, right? But nothing for that. How y'all can get interest payments? Or, because Mr. Roberts doesn't even have to answer to Stevenson King because he works directly from Guy. Guy brought him down, recruit him, Guy has his people. And Stevenson King is a boss, so neither here nor there. But do you know that the reason why there has been resistance, I don't know if he has signed off on it now, but the chief engineer has to sign off on whatever Tiberius Roberts and them are doing in terms of those roundabouts. Because if there are any accidents, he, the chief engineer, is supposed to be liable. Now, they don't even tell you, people like Calix George Jr., himself an engineer, pointed out that it was stupid to put a roundabout by MJI. And they started. And now they stop and they move it to where Kilago Gap is. Nobody told anything. 5 ministers have been written to by the Radway Park Homeowners Association. 5 ministers, including Stevenson King, Spider, Shasney, Guy, none of them have responded. And those letters were sent to government, not even acknowledging that they received the letters from since November last year. Do you know that Tiberius even went to see the owners of Baywalk? And you know what he had? He had a sketch. The head project man had a sketch. Right? Like just take something and just go, come, print out a little something. And that's what was presented to some of the business people in the Rodney Bay area. That was as deep as it got. One meeting with a couple of people and Spider attending in his capacity as a resident of Grosley, not even a minister. That's how much Guy Joseph run roughshod over the boss like Spider. And you want Spider to, that's representation for the most populous constituency in St. Lucia? Good stuff, good stuff. But again, I ask the question, for all the UWP supporters who support these projects, knowing full well that the IMF and everybody can see that the government took money under false pretenses, used it for COVID. They were supposed to spend $12 million on the VH Respiratory Hospital. They only spent $500,000 out of 3 loans. Right? Even Ben Snemil, the PS for Health, was saying they were applying for another loan for the hospital. 4 loans for the VH Respiratory Hospital. But yet you can give out contracts to Skelly and Fresh Start and Nationwide and this one and that one. And meantime, they have a lot of contractors that have not gotten paid. They have fellas working on St. Jude's right now. Because the whole plan is, that's where you'll know when elections are coming. You'll know exactly, because Guy, don't mind Shasney telling you he called elections. Guy owns Shasney. Guy telling Shasney when to call elections. So what Guy is doing, Guy is going to fix up a little piece, like 1 block, 1 wing, 1 part of St. Jude's. They're going to put all the bells and whistles, lights. They finished plumbing already. They have paid the fellas, some of the fellas there for 3 months, but they're going to finish all. They're putting up all the paneling for 1 part. They're going to plant flowers. They're going to do everything for 1 part. They're going to show you that's what you're going to get the rest of, even though we don't have the money for it, if you just keep us in. And in the meantime, these glugler projects, all of them just have to make it just past election day. And once again, we will have not only a bluff government, but a bluff government that has been endorsed even though they bluffed. And the worst part is UWP supporters and Labour Party supporters don't realize they both have a common adversary. This government doesn't give a shit about UWP or Labour supporters. They give a shit about who votes for them, and it's not about the actual people. It's about the fact that they are just trying to get 9 seats by 1 vote, and after that, all of us, UWP or Labour, will continue to suffer under the worst government in St. Lucia's history. I don't even like to call it a UWP government, because to me it's an insult to the United Workers' Party, but they allow themselves to be bastardized. I think Shasney, Guy and the rest just took a brand name and a color and they just pimped it out for their own personal gain. And here we are today. This is the revolution. Stay tuned.
Hey girl, what's your name? What's your name? Hey,
you're in a good mood.
Girl, if I tell you, I just pre-registered for the COVID vaccine. Hey, but yes.
Supporting you in getting vaccinated is important to us at the Ministry of Health. By selecting one of the options for pre-registering, it helps us to be better prepared and more efficient at managing your demand for vaccination. There are 3 ways to pre-register for your COVID-19 vaccine. 1. Go online by visiting https://hmi.govt.lc/. 2. Contact your closest wellness center. Or 3. Contact your private physician. When we get vaccinated, we don't only protect our health, we are taking action that benefits the health of our entire nation. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us. A message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Thanks for tuning in to your favorite content creator, UTV. To find out more, follow us on our social media platforms: YouTube UTV124, Facebook UTV124, Instagram UTV124, Twitch UTV124, TikTok UTV_124, and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV, TV for you.
Did you get the COVID-19 vaccine? Then you may experience one or a combination of side effects, or even no side effects at all. Side effects may include pain or tenderness in the area where you got the vaccine. You may also notice a little swelling or redness. To manage these, you may apply a clean, cool, wet washcloth or an ice pack over the area. Throughout your body, you may feel chills, fever, nausea, joint pain, tiredness, headache, or muscle pain. To manage this discomfort, you should get plenty of rest. Drink fluids, but avoid alcohol and caffeine. If you need to manage pain, you may take paracetamol, not aspirin. You may continue to take all medications prescribed for you for your health condition. Vaccinate. For you, for yours, for us.
You're watching UTV, TV for you.
So where are we now? Well, apparently it's about what a reality, you know, like the Prime Minister says, the truth is whatever you believe it to be. As far as I knew, we were in the grips of a global pandemic with a vaccine that we needed to roll out, sensitize the public, and begin the long road to recovery in terms of our economy, in terms of our children and their schooling. While we still had deaths up to the day before, we had 2 deaths, and then we had 1 death after that. So we were at 58 deaths, and we still have more people who will die over time, and we still have scarce resources. Or we can forget about all of that like the Prime Minister and just be in election mode because it's election time. The only problem is for this Prime Minister is that I can say, at least for myself, I'm happy if that's where your mind is at, because I've been waiting for elections since 2018. So no problem, no problem. But let's just establish a couple of things. Let's go back to the UWP Manifesto, which you can get on, just go on UWP Manifesto St. Lucia on Google, and it comes up as a slide share. There are 3 or 4 different sources, all of them the same document. Let's show the first one. UWP Manifesto 2016. So let's look at one of the promises in there. Let's show the next page. Yep, page 27. This is constitutional reform. A fixed date for general elections. Okay, let's show that zoomed in or bigger. Right. A fixed date for general elections. And after 4.5 years, going to 5 years, where they could not even appoint a deputy speaker, yeah, you know that they did not keep. As a matter of fact, it's something like 12% of the promises that they made that they have kept, right, out of the 52 whatever promises that they made. And of course, no set election date. But now comes, I guess, the mind games.
I just want to tell the honorable member that the omens are not good. And let me explain what I mean. The omens are not good. First, governments that introduce a budget just before the election, they always lose. Always lose, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, they always lose if they introduce a budget before elections. Now, the second thing is, Mr. Speaker, I think this is an odd year. This is what, 2021? And you don't do well in odd years. You lost an election in 1997, you lost an election in 2011. The die is cast, you will lose this year because it is 2021. So you're in serious trouble, and the omens are not very good at all. So you might want to, and I noticed a member for Gaspee Southeast, is watching me intently on these observations and these points.
Now, the truth is, to me, that's just fodder. That's neither here nor there. It's just crap. It's just pecan type of a thing. But there are people who take all of that type of stuff seriously. Just like the lady sweeping the streets and making Shasney and them eat off of plantain leaves and all the rest, banana leaves and all kinds of stuff like that, and put flags on bamboo, yellow flags on bamboo, and it's an odd year, it's an even year and stuff like that. But you see, Shasney already told you he has no philosophical underpinning. It's about opportunism, plain and simple. It doesn't matter whether people are disenfranchised or not. All that matters to him and those around him is winning. And the psychology of that is very powerful. So you have people who have been marginalized in their own country, have seen land lost, have seen their jobs lost, have seen their businesses closed down. But because the man wearing yellow and he's a leader of the UWP, then I'll still vote for him. Like they have this, it's just a mindless ritual type of a thing. And you say, well, the intelligent people, the professional class of the doctors, the engineers, the accountants, chartered accountants and all of them will know better. No. Same thing. They just rationalize their cognitive dissonance better. But let's hear from Shasney about elections before.
The Prime Minister says his administration and party would not call an election during the declared state of emergency.
We will continue to review the situation and make the determinations to when we think the right time to have the election is. But maybe I'll give some people some little...
Give us something, yeah.
That my party would never, hear this, never consider and never have elections during a state of emergency. Okay, and I want to say to you why.
That's when you have to start.
St. Lucians, whether they're members of my party or members of the Labour Party, okay, have a sense of fairness. Look, at the end of the day, that's the prerogative of the government. We will continuously review the situation and make a determination when we think the best time to have elections are going to be, obviously for the people of St. Lucia and also for my party.
The St. Lucia Labour Party officially launched its election campaign days after the Prime Minister's social media post hinting that St. Lucians would be heading to the ballot box in earnest. Despite the denial of a pending election, the Micoud South MP continued his swing through various districts on the island this past weekend. The Prime Minister made campaign-style pit stops in Dennery, Micoud and Vieux Fort, where he toured ongoing capital works projects and officially welcomed the Jamaican-based firm ITEL BPO, which has set up shop in the Free Zone. Shasney's social media accounts have also been filled with photo ops and features of the work undertaken by the UWP government.
If ever there was a time when St. Lucia needs to insist on constitutional reforms, it is now. Because we've seen that people have stayed and studied our structural civic weaknesses in our institutions and have obviously exploited it. And here we are living the side effects of that. That said, I'm sick and I'm fed up and I myself am frustrated. And I'm not going to wait anymore, because the truth is the Prime Minister will call elections when it is to his best or greatest convenience. And since he's a tin pot dictator, for him, he doesn't want to call elections at all. But you can see that it's close. And the truth is we have chased him. The people have chased him away from many other dates because he went over to Jamaica to see how other countries like Jamaica and Trinidad had their elections in ways that allowed them to, if you want to call it, take advantage of COVID and stifled democracies so that when things got worse, they would not pay the price. But he couldn't find a window. That's why they had me arrested, brought to custody suites. They couldn't find another window when they were trying to do something in terms of Journée Creole, when they were having their youth rally thing inside of the Grosley complex there, right? And they've been searching for the dates, but there's also been the fact that, let's face it, they've now taken all the COVID money and spent it on election projects, trying to vegle everybody at the last minute. You have a community like Canaries where there's so many people living on the waterfront. Now you want to come with renderings to show people you're moving all of them on the waterfront? That's change management to y'all? Okay, go with that, go with that. And all of the bluff and the bullshit and the insults and everything people are supposed to forget. So it will be a test of whether your memory is shorter than your temper, will you remember what your children have suffered under this government, or what your business has suffered under this government, or your community has suffered under this government? Does crime matter, or is it only the violent crime? Does corruption matter? Does the fact that, in fact, do you see yourself in the future or having a bright future under Shasney? I can guarantee you there's a bright future for him and those who are around him if he's re-elected. You know that. Both sides can acknowledge that. But I reach like Alva Baptiste now. Shasney don't want to make up his mind. Guy Joseph Ed tell him when to call it yet. Well, I am waiting again. If he doesn't want to make up his mind, I'm making up my mind.
You know what? It's not you, I'm not made up your mind. I'm going to make up your mind for you. You know what? It's not you, I'm not made up your mind. I'm going to make up your mind for you. And that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So let's have a little bit more fun while the maestro, Kenny Anthony, plays his little mind games with them, and you'll see their reaction.
When you look at the so-called key program strategies, there could be no greater indictment of a sitting minister than this, and you see why I was interested in it? But it is also a warning to all of you that you better pay attention to these things while in office. The fact is, the public officers in the Ministry of Justice have given their own minister a fail grade for his performance. That's the reality of it. They have judged him and they told him, look, you have failed. And this is the same minister who had all the solutions for crime, whose advice he claims was not heeded by the previous administration. But what is the reality? He has presided over the worst homicide statistics in the island that's not reflected in this. Just look at the last 4 years of the respective administrations. 2013 on the labor, 34 homicides plus 2 police shootings. 2014, 34 homicides plus 3 police shootings. 2015, 29 homicides. 2016, 31 homicides. Total 128 over that period. Enter the United Workers' Party. 2007, no, not yet. 2017, 16 homicides. 60. And that is the highest number for any minister of national security we have ever appointed in this country. 2018, 43. 2019, 50. And 2020, 55, making a total, I believe, 208 homicides. Too numerous to count. He was not even selected as a candidate, but he asked me if I remember him. My reply, Mr. Speaker, truth is, I remember him very, very well. And I will remember him even better after this general election in May. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Hudson Phillips report also remembers Herman Gill. But it's funny, those who think it's crazy for him to go and run in a constituency that he has no affinity for, with, or any real, true, genuine background with, besides the fact that he was refereeing sports on the playing fields there sometimes, don't realize that he understands Shasney. Right now, there's absolutely no justification, if Shasney wins the next election, for bringing Herman Gill back as the minister when his track record is literally the worst of any national security minister. But Shasney also will keep people who have kissed his ass like Mary and those around if they run a seat and they lose. And that's exactly what he's doing. Whether he wins or he loses, he knows Shasney's pattern. That said, elections in May. Folks, it's not a matter whether elections are in May or elections are in April or elections are in June. The fact of the matter is, are you ready?
The date for the upcoming general elections is occupying the minds of not only politicians, but much of the public. June 6, 2021 will mark 5 years since the United Workers' Party regained the reins of government. Prime Minister Alain Chastanet has hinted that he will not go beyond the date of the 5th anniversary. Some prominent political figures, among them Dr. Kenny Anthony, are pointing to the month of May for the holding of the general elections. So, we ask, do you expect the general elections to be held in the month of May 2021? We tallied the numbers on our voting platforms, and here is how you voted. 49% said yes, 41% said no, 4% did not know, and 6% had no comment. We also took to the streets to get your opinion, and here's what you had to say.
I would think the onus is on the Prime Minister to call the elections. But I normally read the newspapers, and I was reading The Voice, and I read how Pierre is calling for the general elections to call as soon as possible. Again, I cannot say that I feel it should be called in May, because again, I say the onus is on the Prime Minister. Whenever he calls the elections, he's calling the elections. And just for the general public to know, I don't want any involvement in that politics. The reason why I don't want any involvement in that politics, because it is the local solution politics is what I would term as politics of absurdity. So I want no part of it. Thank you very much.
Well, my buddy, the general election, it can call in me, but basically we have ends to meet concerning the corona and all of the tourism factor. But we have to learn to put ourselves together to make it, the country be as one.
No. Pardon? Why? Because it's in June in calling?
No. They're going to call later on the year.
No, I don't believe the general election will be called in May. I believe the general elections will be called sometime in October, thereabout. You know, October, November, sabi. That's what I believe, because, you know, right now people are weighing what they are doing, they are watching what they are doing, and they are not sure about what party is what party. But what I believe in that is that whatever party that comes in, we have to understand the COVID time does not bring people far apart, they bring them together. So anything that happens, we just have to rally around each other, because the government that they're presently, they made mistakes, and the one that will come, if the one that want to come comes, they will still make mistakes. So we just have to understand that we both are our brother's keeper, and we just have to understand how it is presently, and we're living in a different time.
If it is to dissolve the House, just dissolve the House. And this is the first Prime Minister who have ever come in the House with so much money in a budget. We have never seen that such. And the project that he has been demolishing and demolishing, I wish to tell Chastanet that he has to go, and he's just on the line to go. He must go. And this is coming from Sister Ann Slurry. Chastanet must go.
For I myself, they should call the general election in September, not me. 90 days after the pandemic there, Prime Minister could take 90 days, change it. That's in Parliament. He also supposed to know as a journalist. He will do it. September.
Yes. Because St. Lucians are fed up, and both parties ready to vote who they feel like.
Now that last lady actually is the one I think is the most cogent to me. St. Lucians are fed up on both sides. Those who mindlessly support Chastanet are tired of people like me talking about him. I'm tired of talking about him too. I'm tired of these guys. And if you genuinely want another 5 years of this never-ending bullshit, booyah, confusion government, then I want to get that over with too. Somebody told me elections could be next month for sure, right? Even if the opposition loses, so be it. I just want to get it fucking over with. I want to get it over with because I'm sick of them fellas. And if they have to stay, and I know they're going to be there for another 5 years or whatever as the country turns under them into a failed state, then I still want to get to that part. And I do not like the idea, whether it's UWP or Labour, whatever, of not having a set election date. So for me, I call in elections for myself. So as of next week, Tuesday, March 30th, I just given myself the weekend mentally to just chill, and then come Monday, Tuesday, by Tuesday next week, as far as I'm concerned, elections for me is any day from March 30th onward. I'm ready. I'm ready. I will have my ink on my finger ready to vote. As a matter of fact, I'll put it in a cast so I can keep it safe, because I have to vote for people. I have to vote on behalf of Wilkie Larcher. I have to vote on behalf of Bang at New Extension and so many others. I cannot wait, and I'm not going to wait for me to be in the mental frame of mind to vote any longer. So by next week Tuesday. But in the meantime, let us get another fantastic snippet from the Chikilik company.
Yeah, how deep is your head of the Prime Minister's butt?
Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert! Warning! Warning! Bullshitter alert! Bullshitter alert!
Hot as ever. Discussion with yours truly, Norbert Williams from Keeping It Real. On my right, we have Champagne from Champagne in the Morning. Directly across in front of me, Dr. Secret, the man who always gives you the first visit free. And bringing up the rear, on my left, is the man Ring the Bell, Sonny Cloche, as he's popularly called on radio. Good night, gentlemen. Good night to all of you.
Well, good night to you, sir, and good night, St. Lucia. Good night, St. Lucia. Welcome.
Champagne, sir. Champagne's looking like he's ready to go,
Boy,
folks.
listen, I'm bright. I went to the supermarket, a lady said my bright, too bright is affecting her eyes.
What is it? Everybody's wearing the brand new, the just ironed.
That's right.
Yo just paseo. The Sky FM shirt, folks. You know what it is there? Ernest Hille in the house today is calling the road projects, which have been in the works for years. He's calling the works projects election projects, an election gimmick. But I want Ernest Hille and the SLP. This is shame, because number one, the government was elected into office for a 5-year term. What is Ernest Hille suggesting? That the government should stop doing anything 1 year before elections?
This I could vouch for. This is a shame. That is a shameful
These guys forget
statement.
elections 2016.
Because, you know what? We're not even going to discuss that too much. Next Thursday, God willing, we're going to come up with all what the government have done in 2016 and 17. Is that a good thing we could come up with? Because I knew one of them, shamefully, would come out and say these are election projects. This government has been working, Dr. Secret, from 2016. Okay? And it has not stopped. They have not stopped.
But
and Ernest Hille knows that.
Si by toi show, nous kay ring the bell pour ces boucs d'iféa, ces firemen la vini pour ten by.
Ça c'est whole bagay la nou ni champagne. Pour les bagay la belle nous ka pop champagne.
Ah.
Autant? Sigouya même que la docteur c'est là. Si en tous les cas, on y fait pas
boit trop.
Docteur là.
Docteur là.
Sonne cloche.
Ça y est. Ça y est fait.
Il a sonné cloche là.
Oh, il a sonné. C'est pas ça ou du bonnet, plus bonnet, les gens qui ici, hein.
Ça veut dire.
Ça arrive à manger cloche là.
Mais juste commencer, moi je fais comment pour ça. Sonne cloche. Oui.
That's right, folks. Round one. Well,
well,
ring the bell, Palila.
I'll say something here. I don't think these guys want to be involved with politics anymore. No, seriously. You could see it. Like they cannot wait for the election. You know who's going to be very happy in losing? Philip J.P. He's going to say, thank you, God. Finally, I could put myself to rest. Seriously.
Dr. Kenny Anthony, Honorable Dr. Kenny Anthony, he gave a date, May something. The election is going to be called.
Yeah, they're going from month to month though.
Well, wasn't it supposed to be November the 11th last year?
They're going from month to month.
Last year.
Oh, Champion, I tell you, I have confidence in my people in St. Lucia that they are not dumb and that these elections, I am telling you, Champagne, I've been around for a while. It wasn't last week. It wasn't 100 years ago, but I've been around for a while. And I'm telling you, I feel it, and I see it, and I'm smelling it, that the people of St. Lucia are going to teach these guys a serious lesson next election. And some people say 17 not. I'm not calling 17 not. I'm calling 20 not.
I agree.
Chicky Lick Company.
Now, as you listen to the Chikilik Company, and you can see these guys all happy to be assuming the position every day, that they even seem to be doing it to each other, not just to Shasney's ass that they're doing it. But that said, folks, elections are very close. And as horrible as this government has been, I will also say that I agree with one caller who called Guy Joseph's what radio show, TV program with Champagne or whatever. And he called the Labour Party the St. Lucia laid-back party. I understand that there's COVID, but it's enough time. Enough, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm not telling anybody break any laws by any stretch of the imagination. But it's time. It's time to step up. I don't want to have no excuses, no more who marginalized, who don't have funds, who don't have this, that, and the other. It is time. It is time for us, the St. Lucian people, to take the initiative, so that when these guys come and they call elections, we there waiting for them with our voting finger that will feel like it's stones that we come in to throw on them. It's time. Because when you can see these guys spending $1,000 a night in Dennery to put on the lights, they have Nerdy filming a music video. My partner, I'm happy for him, get a payday out of whatever Easter, what's it called? The same Independence 42 playlist. They're doing an Easter playlist. But they'll break all the COVID protocols. And Daisy, the Commissioner Daisy, in pure political bias, will not enforce any UWP initiative, whether it comes to sending the police or the COVID wardens to police that. The fact of the matter is, Shasney and them are taking advantage. And what they have done is they have starved the people, so that when they do anything, especially the young people, they'll be grateful to be fed. You have an entire creative industry sector deemed illegal for over a year now as of March. And yet they have to take whatever they can get through whichever UWP surrogates can give them a bly. Forget COVID. COVID only matters when it is you by the CDC. All y'all fellas by the car wash there. When it is y'all, they're ready to arrest y'all. But when it is this going on in Dennery, nothing for that.
And I will say it again, y'all will hate me, I don't care, because I'm already been hated in All Blacks. So I'm telling y'all, as All Blacks members, and as assistant coach, slash manager, guys, protect ourselves, protect your family, protect your neighbors, and let us do what we have to do. Until we don't get the all clear, let us abide with the rules and regulations, the protocols, as per se, as the CMO, and until we get the okay. When we get the okay, we will train, we will play, we will have friendly games on that turf. But for the time being, guys, move the small goals on the field, because I will take it and put it at the donation station, and you will have to pay for it.
My G, Constable problem was not about curfew last night. Constable problem was about power. He thinks he's in charge. You know, the guys said that they had permission to use the field. They were doing a recording for the Prime Minister. Constable insisted. He just spoke to Estefan, and Estefan said he has no knowledge of what's going on the playing field. You understand? The person who put on the light said Estefan spoke to him like 2 days before and told him there will be an event from 6 to 8, so put on the lights, you know, for the guys. So how come you saying you just spoke to Estefan and Estefan say he has no knowledge about what's going on the field? The guy came to him, told him we're doing that for the Prime Minister. He went as far as telling the guy, tell the Prime Minister to call me. Who are you to tell the guy, tell the Prime Minister to call you?
I am informing anybody, that is Constable. I'm informing anybody, unless the protocol has not been uplifted, where contact sports can be or will be tolerated, I am going to arrest any All Blacks member or any Dennery players on the playing field. You can spread it. I don't care who spread it, but I'm going to say to y'all, I'm going to arrest anybody at any time. The field has not been declared open for the minister or the apparent district rep that is supposed to be representing Dennery SLP party. I'm going to arrest anybody at any time. And I'm appealing to the president of All Blacks to remove the small goals that we have on the field from the playing field and secure it. Or I am going to take it and I'm going to confiscate it at the Dennery police station.
Yes, guys, that's on the Dennery playing field. We have steel pan, we have steel pan, we have everything. You know, I don't know if it's the opening of the playing field, I don't know. So as you can see, I'm showing you all around. I'm showing you all around everything. Vehicles are parked everywhere. So as you can see, yeah, I don't know what, honestly, I don't know what is taking place. I don't know what is going on. So there's plenty of people, there's steel pan, there's those people who's working on those, as you can see them on the fence, those others working on those things. As you can see them there, I don't know what's going on.
So to the opposition, the formal opposition, to those who are patriots, those who are not in favor of this government remaining in office, whether they are Labour Party supporters or not. If you don't know, if you think that this is going to be a sneak snap election, it's the slowest you've ever heard a snap. Because it's obvious. You rush in to do all of these things now because time is running out before they call the election. So if, and this is a problem that the Labour Party has, while you all are preoccupied with winning the debate and being right on an ethical stand, I'm not telling you to give up your principles, never. The fact of the matter is the UWP is preoccupied with winning the elections, and you all can bitch all the way you all want to, after, during, everything about what's not fair. They're not going to fight a fair election. They are not going to fight an ethical election. They are going to do whatever it is that they have to do, and I'm not telling you do whatever it is that they are doing. You can't be more UWP than this UWP in nefarious tactics. But the point is, there are things that you can do and you need to do, and you need to do them from now. And even if you're not going to do them, I am going to do them, because like I said, Shasta and them can win the next election, but it will not be with me ever coming on the day after election and saying, boy, you know, if I just made a little bit more effort, I'll run as fast as I can. When they stop me from running, I'll walk. When they knock out my legs, I will drag myself. And after that, I'll do whatever I have to do to make sure that St. Lucians will go to the polls. I'm not telling them who to vote for, but they will go to the polls and they will vote with their eyes open. That's all. That's the only thing that is my mission. But that said, make no mistake about it. We are going to go to the polls in an unfair fashion, and you can see it playing itself out up to today, where COVID wardens are arresting people all over the place. They do not police the hotels. You know, it's like, take for example, COVID is supposed to be, doesn't discriminate, and COVID, it transcends St. Lucia, and the pandemic transcends St. Lucia. And that is the reality. The reality we have to face is we have to coexist with COVID. But the hotels don't exist in reality. And Shasta is a narcissist, has always been a tourist here. So now the UWP doesn't exist in our reality. They don't need to wear the mask that we need to wear. They don't need to do things by the rules the way that the rest of us need to do. And it's up to you if you endorse that. So I'll show you now Shasta's latest. Oh, I wonder if he takes the time to tell her. I asked her if she's a single mother, letting her know that her second born under him, if she was under 18, that he would have her taken by the state, or that he wants to cut the subsidies to rice, flour, and sugar, or that if she's in a wooden house and it burns down, that she can get no assistance. So the phone lines are open now, 572-7588 and 484-7588. And I will say it again, I'm awake. I hope you are woke. But to the opposition, I'll let Samuel L. Jackson tell you properly.
So I strongly suggest that you wake the up.
We have to be ready from now because we're not the ones that get to call the election. So for me, like I said, as of next week Tuesday, I just looked and I said, I'll give because I know this is sudden for some. I'll give. But for me, election day is literally next week Tuesday, and every day after that, I'm going to be ready and waiting. Call it, I don't care. They have up until October the 12th. That is the very last day that they can do it legally. Now, you know these guys are obeying the law. So it's up to you. Good afternoon, caller. Hello?
Hello,
Good
Christopher.
afternoon. Yes?
It's just an observant when you showed the map for the lots.
Yes.
Is both lots taken, 414 and 415?
414 is the one that is under
Is it
Rich.
both of them that are taken for the roundabout?
Yes.
Oh, because I wanted to confirm that, because what I saw on the map was that 415 was directly across Kilago.
Yes, both of them are
And
taken.
then 414 is the other one below.
Yeah, they
Kilago.
They're not getting to touch Kilago. That's why. So they're taking it on the other side. And there are other family members of Shasney and his in-laws that are happy for that there because they have property going all the way to the water. So it helps all of them. Yeah,
I
it's
see.
one big happy thing.
So
Go ahead, caller.
yeah. So my observation is that both 414 and 415 is being occupied for the roundabout. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and what should happen by law is the Prime Minister should recuse himself from cabinet while a decision like that is to be made. But we will not get the cabinet minutes to know whether the Prime Minister stayed there in pure conflict of interest and allowed it to happen or not.
Okay, I get it now. I get it. I just wanted to clear my mind on that.
No problem, caller. Thank you.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, we have another call on hold. Good afternoon, caller. Hello.
Good afternoon, Christopher Hunt.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, caller.
How are you?
I'm ready. That's how I am. I'm ready. Tired of waiting.
Christopher Hunt, I was watching something last night on the news about the Andrew Post School. And where the minister brought in masses. That's what we need right now for the students at the Andrew Post School. And the principal giving that long speech about how the man is a good man. What kind of bullshit is that?
I didn't see it in total. Yeah, go ahead, caller.
At that point of time, this is pure nonsense. A whole leap of mass like COVID just starts.
Caller, the Taiwanese gave Shasney mass. They gave Shasney thousands of mass. You know what he did? He didn't reach Cornerstone from him or anywhere. He went down to Choiseul and he took pictures of himself giving about 10 mass out to some children. So sadly, the mass that were needed to be given out in the first place were used for politics.
And the UWP people are campaigning because from where we live, we see them walking the streets and going to people's houses and stuff like that. And we're asking, but why is these people doing that? And where's the Labour Party? Where's the people?
Well, the Labour Party has started, as far as I know, in terms of some house to house. But you see, again, what is happening is you have law being enforced along political lines. So the Labour Party is at a tactical disadvantage. I hope now that Daisy has been exposed. In fact, everybody always knew Daisy was a political appointee. That's why even when you show it, people just laugh at the big joke of him coming back. But the bottom line is we have to accept that this is not going to be a fair election. So it's going to take 16-1 to get 9-8. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. And like you said, I think the solutions are ready for the elections. It's a high time we come to a conclusions.
Yeah.
Because the more we wait, the harder it's looking like it's going to get. And tell guy, he's a real con artist.
I think
Guy is a real con artist.
he's proud of it. I think he's proud of that. And the
I'm
people that
proud of
support
what
him
he
like him for that. They like him being a
did.
con artist.
He did cool for that.
Let us hope justice prevails. That's all I can say. Thank you very much, caller. We have another call.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. We have another call on hold. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Christopher.
Good afternoon.
I know that is a rhetorical question, but I'll still ask it. How are you doing?
I am ready. Are you ready? I am fed up. I am ready.
I am longer than ready.
I am not waiting anymore. I'm not waiting anymore.
Long time. Two things I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Chekapesh had an episode where in that episode there was this line, right, where they asked the young man, Kititu. Titmo say Ralph. And then the girl's mother responded, Iglesia responded, Ralph said Titchien. And then she went on to say, Dimwe Chasne, Dubole, Borai. Christopher, there has never been a time when every other teeth in St. Lucia has become teaching more than now. Because if you're not a Dubole or you're not a Chasne and you're not connected to these names, whole culpable.
Very true.
And we just sit by, we accept it, we roll over. And you know who we're taking advantage of? The ones with the teachings, because these are the ones the COVID wardens go after.
Yep.
These are the ones the police criminalize over masks. Okay? I just want to let them know, RSLPF, I will not be criminalized over a mask until they can find that arsonist roaming the streets freely for attempting to kill 5 of us in my house and attempting to burn the house. I shall not be criminalized over a mask. So if I don't have a mask on, you know Miss Lord was properly masked up? You know that? She had a bottle of hand sanitizer in her hand and she's dead today. COVID did not kill her. But Herman Gill is looking for all niceties. I will end by saying this, Christopher. If on Tuesday when you start, if you are going to go all around the island, I shall be joining you.
Thank you. It's time.
I shall be joining you, not I want. And I'm telling you this, the people in my family are going to hate me. You know why? Because medically, I'm not cleared to do this, but God, we have to fight for something.
Yep.
And if those who are healthy, those who are sane, those who have the PhDs, those who are brighter than me, they will not see the need to impose this election on Alan Chasney. Because let me tell you, Alan Chasney knows that the election has been called, and we're waiting for him to date it. But he crying every time. He goes meeting to date it, but he needs to be told, he needs to feel that if he does not date elections by the 6th of June, and this country does not hear that elections are going to be or before the 6th of June, he has another thing coming. COVID Act, protocols, none of that will matter. Daisy will be able to do nothing to stop the anger that people have begun expressing in different ways. Because we are tired. I mean, you have people on the field after 9 o'clock at curfew, and you have police stopping people and wanting to see their hands to prove that they were doing what they say they were doing when curfew stopped them or came past them. That's bullshit. We have to nonsense in this country. Like, do bout leve. Si pas ça. Leve du bout. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. We have another call on hold. Good afternoon, caller. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I'm just thinking to myself, let's project this out. Imagine another 5 years of day-to-day bullshit these guys going to do. And I'm asking you all, how many of y'all can see your future the next 3 months without some sort of stimulus, knowing that Chasney not only did not give you stimulus, is going to the polls without giving you stimulus, has half of his budget as bluff, and is ready to go to the IMF for structural adjustment? That's something to look forward to. Good afternoon, caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello. Okay, I don't know if the caller's not hearing me. I heard them briefly. But like I said, we'll try to take 1 or 2 more calls. And, you know, it really does tell you that there are certain reforms. Whoever gets into office, and like I said, if it is Chasney, I have no choice but to accept the democracy, however it has been skewed. But I'll tell you something. I am going to be ridiculously on constitutional reforms, no matter who is there. Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, hello Christopher.
Yes, caller.
Yes. Mother di abay, mother SC Prime Minister party di konsa men gaslan de san banu ek bay konsa ek den that keni party sa fay ek den ite kay fay SC party di that ite kay men de san banu.
Yes, he had it on his desk to sign. He had it there. That's right. You're very right, caller. And
oui, so nous crime ça. Nous a shy crime about Prime Minister. Qui a fait about Prime Minister, he a break record là. Nous j'aware that he break record tout by en healthcare nous, station nous, en sports nous, en tout by nous. Christopher, he just mess up everything. Okay? And then right now là, nous pas ni pièce by pour nous look forward to passer just do boot and try to party en power because nous tout savons c'est bobol yo ye bobol yo ka fait et que yo pas ka fait travail yo bien yo volé yo menti et que yo ka continuer menti ban nous yo ka continuer voler si nous continuer quitter yo là because problem là c'est pas yo right now problem là c'est nous nous pour là. Because no panic guy na the government sa weki la.
Supawe, you ready to vote, caller? Are you ready?
Ek mwen ha power pour vote. As a matter of fact, si maintenant moi te turn
leg your turn.
Claudius Francis. Claudius Francis say about ID card leg vote taxi by you expire ek by kohan.
You have to get your ID. Get everything sorted out.
Somebody may perhaps see my kind of I got to renew ID card moi then pour moi ça vote because moi-même moi a dépassé pour moi vote Christopher.
Okay.
Moi a dépassé Christopher. Moi have qui joue nous kay do boot and the pays like we had enough. We had enough of them liars. We had enough of them lies. We had enough of the shit. We had enough of the crap. Bluff say footballer. Nous aimons football. Nous aimons cricket. Et que bluff. Tout cricketer. Tout footballer. Tout sport nous te pays nous qui vaut pour nous aimons. Bouga just you just make tout by on side. Government la pas ça même tout by ces footballers là moi même ka feel very embarrassed by yo puisque now moi même aimer football moi aimer cricket
yo ka pige tout
nous pas ni encore Christopher nous fini pas gouvernement ça fini il tue nous tout à life ou check li Christopher
moi check li
il te dit nous pour fight to stay alive fight Gade ki man award no adi den la hodia. Le l'hôpital no.
Thank you, caller. Merci appeal pour kuyen. I have one more call on hold. Thank you very much. But I'm happy if you're ready. Get your paperwork. Yes, merci. And for anybody else out there, like I said, it's overdue. Let's just get to doing what we have to do. We have our final caller. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, Dimwe Bite, tell me something. Let's go. Good afternoon, caller.
Hello?
Yes?
I am ready to vote. I am ready. I cannot wait. I want Chasney out. I want all of them out. I am ready.
Thank you, caller. What constituency are you calling from?
What?
What constituency are you calling from?
Beg your pardon?
What constituency are you calling from? What part of St. Lucia?
I am calling from Ernest Healer.
Ah, okay. Okay, Castries South. That's Castries South. Well, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready with you. And like I said, from Tuesday, I'll be having my voting finger ready at all times. So they could call it middle of the day, middle of the night. We're ready to go.
Born ready.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much for calling. Okay, folks, my time is up. We're heading into the weekend. Don't take this as trivial, but I'm tired of seeing people getting killed left, right, and center over the weekend. So even if it's just a personal favor you can do for me, stay alive. That's all I'm asking of. And after that, we will find a way to move forward. Our generations before us, our forefathers have shown us how to do so much with so little. We survived so many other things. We have survived 5 years under Chasney, not all of us. But for those who were lost along the way, we will make sure to make our voices be heard. As of, like I said, for me, March 30th, and any day after that, they can call elections, I will be ready. And I am not waiting any longer for me to go everywhere around this country to make sure everybody else is ready for elections. And it's not about voting Labour or UWP. Our decisions in this election must be based on right versus wrong. In the meantime, every time I see or hear or feel anything that reminds me of what it is to be St. Lucian and what it is that we are losing, I make sure to show it to you and to all those in the diaspora. So have a good weekend. And this one, well, I like the track.
Diving check what's yourself, dog. Oh, my lad. But I know the view for no shoe what's your dog. Let them some do boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Say, if you make sense of a statement. Oh, then Sana do that. Head that up. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a start. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a point. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a bang. Keep back a point, keep back a start, keep back a bang. So, boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a start. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a point. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a bang. Boom, keep back a point, keep back a start, keep back a bang. So, when they send me cool love, yeah, motorbike, keep a même ni bon break, see me bon light. Bike, yes, no, I got pete ko dynamite. Détail, ball, même protect Mr. Mike. Passe, patience, mo comme même by tout. Mundi, nay, more, lemon, swing, avec tout. He was get escape, my city bike like a juke. So, I pull up on the side and look at them, I got to say, boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a start. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a bang. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a bang. Boom, keep back a point, keep back a start, keep back a bang. So, boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a point. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a bang. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka. Keep back a bang. And the second chorus. Hey, muddy driver, check out, S-Uni gas. Check engine, si tout bagay en place. Ki manye go carburetor, ba pase kwa sek. Ouble ka ramase mounet vekal te bat. Masa kompon, carburetor breakdown. Pop moun a bon van, fey pa moute mon. Kon ka fe tout moun, moun ta bon van. Tout moun desenet, en bayan bang. Boom, blaka, daka, 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 daka. Boom, blaka, daka, 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 ki baka start. Boom, blaka, daka, 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 ki baka bang. Ki baka boy, ki baka start, ki baka bang. Boom, blaka, daka, daka, daka.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of UTV or its affiliates.